Good evening. If you look at what you have in life, you will always have more. If you look at what you don't have in life, you will never have enough. Welcome to BMC News Live in English, brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. I am Vinod Narayanan, joining you with the daily news updates. Today's headlines. Citizens' efforts key to Bahrain's comprehensive development, says His Royal Highness Prince Salman. Proposal to provide hospital licenses to Bahrain residents only. Bahrain's Jurassic-themed park set to open next month. Emirates restores flights to 5 African countries. COVID hits one of the last uninfected places on the planet. News in detail. Citizens' efforts key to Bahrain's comprehensive development, says His Royal Highness Prince Salman. His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa hailed the contributions of the citizens in the nation-building process, stressing that Bahrain's future prosperity relies on the work of Bahrain's citizens. His Royal Highness highlighted that citizens' efforts contribute to Bahrain's comprehensive development, led by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. Proposal to provide hospital licenses to Bahrain residents only. Only Bahrain residents would be licensed to set up private, general or specialized hospitals and medical centers under a Shura Council proposal that will be debated during the weekly session on Sunday. It also states that only Bahrainis should be allowed to open private specialty health clinics across the kingdom. Labor disputes dropped compared to last year. Claims of unfair dismissals accounted for nearly 70% of all labor complaints filed with a major trade federation last year. However, the number of labor disputes recorded by the General Federation of Bahrain Trade Unions last year fell by nearly 15% compared with the previous year, from 231 to 196. The role of diplomacy in achieving sustainable development highlighted. Board of Trustees Chairman of Bahrain Center for Strategic International and Energy Studies, Dr. Sheikh Abdullah bin Ahmed Al Khalifa, praised strong historical fraternal relations between the Kingdom of Bahrain and the Sultanate of Oman. He described them as a model to emulate in fraternal relations. Dr. Sheikh Abdullah bin Ahmed Al Khalifa was speaking during a lecture he delivered at Sultan Qaboos University entitled "The Role of Diplomacy in Achieving the Sustainable Development Goals." Bahrain's Jurassic-themed park set to open next month. Bahrain's very own Jurassic-themed park is well on its way to coming alive at the recently launched Muharraq Grand Garden. The Dino Park is set to open next month and will offer children and adults a chance to mingle with the mighty monsters. Closure of lanes on Al Fateh Highway announced. Works Ministry said that the improvement works on Al Fateh Highway at its junction with Prince Saud Al Faisal Avenue necessitate closure of some lanes, and alternative lanes will be provided for traffic movement. The closure will be effective on Saturday for a period of 4 months. Today's COVID updates. COVID updates brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. COVID-19 infections in the country crossed the 5,000 mark last night, with 2 deaths registered. A total of 5,255 cases were recorded, while the 2 deaths took the total number of fatalities to 1,402. Google to invest $1 billion to push India's digitalization. Google will invest up to $1 billion in partnership with India's Airtel to provide affordable access to smartphones to over 1 billion Indians and speed up use of cloud-based computing for business, the two companies said on Friday. The investment will help India's small businesses adopt digital tools as India works to adopt digital education, payments, and e-commerce amid the pandemic, Google said in a blog post. As part of the Google for India Digitization Fund launched in 2020, Google will pay $700 million to acquire a 1.28% stake in Airtel. It is also committing up to $300 million for commercial agreements over the next 5 years, Airtel said in a statement. Now we will be back after a very short break.
All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain. At 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. Bakery, fresh meat and fish, fruits and vegetables, sweets and snacks, ready-to-eat foods, dairy products, grocery or consumer goods. To have a wonderful shopping experience, please visit your nearest Megamart Macromart branch. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.
Welcome back. Saudi king issues royal order designating February 22nd as Founding Day. Saudi Arabia will commemorate February 22nd every year as the nation's founding day, according to a royal order issued on Thursday. Taking into account that the middle of the year 1139, corresponding to the month of February of the year 1727, signals the commencement of the reign of Imam Muhammad bin Saud, marking his founding of the first Saudi state, the King of Saudi Arabia has made the above announcement. Saudi is now a step closer to World Cup 2022. Saudi Arabia consolidated their position at the top of Group B of the AFC Asian qualifiers, road to Qatar with a narrow home win against Oman at the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium on Thursday. With the win, Saudi Arabia's tally rose to 19 points, confirming at least a playoff spot with the possibility of finishing below third place eliminated. They could confirm qualification to the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 with a win in their next match. Meanwhile, Oman's fate is hanging by a thread as they are left with a 7-point gap between them in the third place with 3 games to go. Emirates restores flights to 5 African countries. Emirates will resume passenger operations between Dubai and 5 African countries starting from 29th January. The restoration of services will include Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, Nairobi, Kenya, Harare, Zimbabwe, Emirates' 3 South African gateways, Johannesburg, Cape Town and Durban. Customers flying in and out of Emirates' African gateways can safely connect to Dubai and to an array of onward connections to Europe, Middle East, the Americas, West Asia and Australia. All passengers traveling from Emirates' African network with Dubai as their final destination require a 48-hour PCR test. Passengers must present a valid negative COVID-19 PCR test certificate for a test conducted at an approved facility, and validity must be calculated from the time the sample was collected upon arrival in Dubai. Passengers will undergo an additional COVID-19 PCR test and remain in self-quarantine until the results of the test are received. Passengers traveling from these destinations and transiting in Dubai are required to follow the rules and requirements of their final destination. Flights resume at Europe's busiest airport in Istanbul as snow eases. Following 2 days of major disruptions due to heavy snowfall, Istanbul Airport largely resumed operations on Wednesday, operating from firm IGA confirmed. 2 of 3 runways at the airport have been completely cleared of snow. The firm expects to resume operations at full capacity later Wednesday. Hong Kong cuts foreign arrival quarantine from 21 to 14 days. Hong Kong is cutting the length of mandatory quarantine for people arriving from overseas from 21 to 14 days, even as the southern Chinese city battles a new surge in COVID-19 cases. After leaving their quarantine hotels, travelers will still need to remain at home for an additional 7 days for self-monitoring. In-person school classes will remain suspended until February 21, and flight bans from the US, Australia, Canada, France, India, Pakistan, The Philippines and Britain, where case numbers remain high, will be extended until February 18. COVID hits one of the last uninfected places on the planet. When the coronavirus began spreading around the world, the remote Pacific archipelago of Kiribati closed its borders, ensuring the disease didn't reach its shores for nearly 2 full years, said an Associated Press report. Kiribati finally began reopening this month, allowing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to charter a plane to bring home 54 of the island nation's citizens. Officials tested each returning passenger 3 times in nearby Fiji, required that they will be vaccinated, and put them in quarantine with additional testing when they arrived home. It wasn't enough. More than half the passengers tested positive for the virus, which has now slipped out into the community and prompted the government to declare a state of disaster. An initial 36 positive cases from the flight had ballooned to 181 cases by Friday. SpaceX rocket part on course to crash into Moon. A SpaceX rocket that launched almost 7 years ago is on a collision course with the Moon, experts have warned. The Falcon 9 booster, which launched in February 2015 as part of an interplanetary mission, has been following a chaotic orbit since running out of fuel following its mission. With that, we come to the end of today's news. Stay tuned for daily news updates in BMC News Live English at 7:30 p.m. every day. I am Vinod Narayanan signing off from BMC News Live. Good night.